Looking for the stage manager over there. These lights on, I couldn't see. Hello, everybody. I'm Eric Bischoff. Thanks for coming out. It is great to be in Phoenix. I don't know if you know this or not, but I had a home here up until, for 17 years, up until this past June. Moved out, haven't bought another one yet, and I'm living up in Wyoming where it's just cold as hell. So it's a real pleasure to be here for all the right reasons, let me tell you. And two of the biggest reasons are about to come out here in just a moment. Two good friends of mine and gentlemen that I've had the good fortune and the honor to work with for many, many years. And two people that have seen it all, done it all, and are here to take your questions. So without any further ado, first, let me introduce the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Thank you.
How you doing today, Jimmy?
I'm doing great, man.
You digging this Phoenix sun?
It's like old times, huh?
It is.
It's awesome.
Just like getting on a horse. And now the guy that you really came to see, Jimmy and I are the bookends. That's what we are. The guy that's going to be sitting in that chair has literally seen it all and done it all. From slamming Andre the Giant, that's right, to becoming the biggest, baddest, meanest member of the NWO, none other than Hulk Hogan!
Wow, look at all the maniacs. Nice and early, brothers. Thank you guys for coming out. So cool, man. Hey, those damn boas get hot, don't they?
Good to see you, Hulkster. Thanks for joining us out here.
Love you, brother. I can't see anybody with the lights. Oh, cool, man. Cool.
God, it's awful quiet out there. Can you guys make some more noise? We gotta fire this place up. Yes. Much better. Much better. Hulkster, how long has it been since you've been in Phoenix, man?
Dude, I don't even know. Probably the last time I worked a show with you.
Yeah. It's been a while.
It's been a long time.
It's a great place to be, especially this time of year. How about you, Jimmy? You been here?
Same
lately?
thing. I think when we were out here with you and WCW back in the day.
God, it seems like 1,000 years ago, doesn't it?
Hey,
Right.
Sting, you don't want to talk about Starrcade 97, do you? Uh-huh.
Nick Patrick's right
Hey,
back
yo.
there. You have to ask him. So
Well, Sting's here too, right?
Sting's going to be here later on today.
Watch out. He could anywhere.
Yep. No kidding, right?
Yeah, I know, man. Kind of sneaky.
So I'll start with you, Jimmy. Big news this morning. Our good buddy Bill Goldberg inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. What do you think?
I think it's great. I think when he came back to the WWE a few months back, he did a great job. Great crowds, good numbers, of course, and of course, you know, he started with you down in WCW.
That's right. We created that star, by the way.
Absolutely.
Despite all the rumors to the contrary.
No, the beginning with WCW down there has a great run.
Oh, so what do you think,
Oh,
man?
wait a minute. How come I never got a rematch after that Georgia Dome debacle? You know, I never got a rematch with this clown.
Well, we gave it away on free TV. We figured we couldn't
God.
make any money on pay-per-view with it, so what the hell?
I think that was my idea.
It was your idea, by the way. We'll talk about
Sorry.
that later on. But also, you saw Bill Goldberg when he first came to WCW, and nobody knew he was going to become the star that he did. But what did you see in him?
Well, I just saw, you know, the spark. I mean, the office gave him the push. The office gave him the wins, but he had that electricity. You know, he basically was ring aware of what was going on out there. So I think, you know, he was just so intense that the fans gravitated to him. And of course, when you beat hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in a row, very quickly, you know, the fans find their new hero. So the timing was perfect for him. But I've seen it try to be done with other people, and Bill pulled it off, and a lot of people couldn't. So, I mean, he's a huge star, and I'm really happy that he's getting to go in the Hall of Fame, that's for sure.
So how tough do you think it was for a guy like Bill, who played in the NFL, who had a lot of success, who had all that intensity, to come into the world of professional wrestling? Because it's a whole different world. It's an art. It's got its own politics. It's a completely different environment. Do you think it was a tough transition for him?
Well, I think it was. Bill, playing in the NFL, everything was quick bursts and quick spurts. And, once you get in the ring, you get hurt a lot more than you would expect. I mean, a lot of the football players and the MMA guys that have tried out the professional wrestling, the first thing they say is, oh my God, I didn't realize how often you get hurt. Every time you go in the ring, you never come back out the same way. And so I think Bill, in his career playing in the NFL, he got hurt a lot from what I understood from his sister. So one of the main things I was worried about was when he got in the wrestling business, was this going to be an ongoing situation? And he seemed to figure out how to get by that. When he did get injured, he became one of the biggest team players I've ever seen. He stuck with it. But I think the transition was a little tough for Bill because he got pushed so fast. He didn't have a chance to go and be on the road for 5 or 10 years and wrestle 200-300 times, a year and all the house shows and high schools. So it kind of reminds me of the kids that come out of the performance center. They get pushed so fast and they learn to go through the choreographed match or whatever is going on that sometimes the ring awareness and the physicality of when to push it and when not to push it isn't there. So Bill learned quick. He was a quick study. But I just think I wish he'd have kept going, I wish he would have not walked away from the WWE. I wish he was still working and give me a good reason to watch Monday Night Raw.
Jimmy, you've managed 500,000 guys in your career. Did you ever manage anybody with the same kind of intensity that Bill Goldberg had?
Well, Bill had a lot of things going for him. He had a great look. He was very intense, like you said, but he had a great supporting cast too around him. I mean, when you got Hogan and you got Sting there, and you've got Flair, and you've got yourself, a good boss to work for. You've got a great surroundings around it. But back in my era, when I was managing some of the guys that I was lucky enough to have, of course, being with the Hulkster was great. Having the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart and Neidhart.
Bret who?
Oh, wait.
Come on now.
Let me say it. Bret who?
Hey, look, don't get me into this controversy, please. Please. But when I had the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart and Neidhart, and of course, I don't know, y'all won't say who on this one, the Nasty Boys, right? I had such a variety, Earthquake and Typhoon, Dino Bravo, the Honky Tonk Man, Adrian Adonis, so many of the guys that I was lucky enough to be with and be in the Hall of Fame in 2005. But when I had Ming back in the day, Ming didn't have the really fire, but he was a very tough athlete back in the day too, So
he had all the potential to be as intense as anybody wanted him to be.
You better believe it.
All right, let's open it up. I'm sure you're tired of hearing my questions now. Let's open it up to some of your questions. I'm having a little bit of a hard time seeing out there, so there's a guy taking questions back there. He's waving his hand. Come on back. If you got questions, we've got answers. And if we don't have answers, we'll just BS our way through it. We'll make it sound really good.
Is Sting part of the family there, brother? Who wins, the Hulksters or the Stinger? Uh-oh. So she might be a little tougher than Sting? I don't believe that. Pretty cool, man. You guys look great.
All right, let's kick it off with the Hulkamaniac back in the corner.
Actually, Eric, I'm the first one right here in front of you.
Where? Wait, raise your hand.
Right here in front of you.
Oh, I see, right there.
Okay, so this is like kind of a question really for all of you, but it's a two-part question. Jimmy, since you had a chance to be in the Legends house, what is your thoughts? It's kind of to all of you after Piper passed. Would you guys ever do another Legends house?
Well, there were rumors that we were going to have another Legends house, but of course, when he passed away, it kind of threw a wrench into that. But it was probably one of the greatest experiences I ever had in my life. We were up there for almost, 6 weeks filming the show. It was a great opportunity to do something I'd never been able to do before. And when we went in, they took our cell phones from us. There was no laptops. Couldn't watch TV, no newspapers, no radio. And we thought, man, that was going to be pretty tough. But after 5 or 6 weeks of it, we realized that, life goes on. It was pretty different. It was pretty cool. We didn't really worry about what was happening on the outside world. And like I said, it was such a thrill for me to be. My roommate, of course, was Hillbilly Jim, and being in
I
there
love
with
him.
yeah, thank you, I do too. And being in there with Mean Gene Oakland and Pat Patterson, and of course Howard Finkel, and so many of the great stars that we were on the road with so much of the time. But thank you for asking that question.
And then the second part of my question is really kind of to all of you as well, but primarily to Hulk. Hulk, if you could actually have one chance to wrestle again, I mean, not to say that you couldn't, but like you were given an opportunity to choose an opponent from some of the newer people, who would you wrestle and why?
Well, that's a tough question, brother, because there's so many new guys that have come in as of late. And if I had to pick one guy, well, there's two guys really, and they aren't the new guys. So out of the new guys, it really wouldn't matter to me. There's so many talented guys that they have in there. I'd feel comfortable because they could work around my limitations at this point. But to get away from your question, if I could go back and wrestle one guy, I mean, it'd be one of two people. I'd love to wrestle Cena because that's the match that was supposed to happen in Orlando. And I had my second or third back surgery, and while I was talking to Vince on the phone, my back went out again while I was on the phone with Vince, and we were talking about all the Monday Night Raws and everything leading up to WrestleMania. So that was a match I wanted to do, but I would still love to get back in the ring one time with The Rock again. Because that match was so electric, and you don't realize when you go out there, you expect a certain thing, but if you don't choreograph stuff like I never did, I just want to know who won or lost, and I would never talk about the match at all. It's just ridiculous to do that, because if the crowd doesn't like what you're doing, what are you going to do? Keep doing what you planned? So the thing about The Rock was we went out there and things get totally flipped upside down on us, and I was cool about it, but then when I saw how good he was, and it didn't rattle him when they started booing him, and we had to really dig to get things on track, there's been very few people other than Andre the Giant that knew how to do that.
Yeah.
So I would love to get in the ring with him one more time. I don't give a darn if I had to have another back surgery. It would be worth doing it just for, and I can't explain to you how much fun that is when you're in there with somebody that's that good. So Cena or The Rock, if I could get back.
Personally, I'd like to see you beat the crap out of Brock Lesnar, but
well, I don't think we're going to see that in this lifetime, brother, but unless he let me. If he let me, and he's a good friend of mine, so he just might let me.
Or Finn Balor. I mean, come on, Finn is amazing.
Well, come on. If we're going to beat people up, let's put Vince at the top of the list, okay?
Oh, wow.
All right, let's move it along. We got a lot of people that need questions answered here. Hulkster.
Hulk,
Yo.
huge fan. Awesome. I got a question for you.
Sure.
What was it like filming Rocky 3?
Rocky 3 was cool, man, because Stallone was just like one of the guys. He didn't want to use a stunt guy. I mean, he told me to really lay it in. Like when I power slammed him from corner to corner, he took that bump. And I mean, we had to shoot stuff over and over again, and he just got the hell beat out of him. And at the time, I was like 28 years old and 320 pounds. I was a little crazy back then. And I mean, I really laid into him, and whether his nose was bleeding, he spit up blood one time. He goes, "Oh, that was great. Let's do it again." I looked at him like, but he's and the good thing about it is the guy that's here with us, Darren Prince and Steve and Vo, they've got a guy named Nicky C who's part of the team that booked us all here. Nicky C is like good friends with Sly, so I get a chance to communicate. And Sly is the exact same guy he was 35 years ago. So he's really cool.
Thank you.
Good question, man. Thanks. Who do we got there?
The big man. Oh, what's up? Oh, he's stealing my gimmick, man. I love it.
Now, hi, my name's Anthony, and I was wondering, if you had a match, which match was your favorite that includes you, brother?
Thanks, brother. Well, you know what? I can't. There's a couple matches I really love. There's WrestleMania 1, probably before your parents were born. There's the Rock match, which was really cool. But the one match that set the table, the one match that etched the WWF in stone, the one match that built Titan Towers, built the whole company, was that WrestleMania 3 match with Andre the Giant, brother. That was the match that made people realize that this wrestling company, the WWF or WWE, whatever you want to call it, is not going anywhere. That's the match, brother.
Great question.
Have you ever seen it? On YouTube?
It was great.
Thank you, brother. I was trying to get that compliment out of you. Thank you.
tried to beat me up yesterday.
Who's next? What's your name, buddy?
Asher,
Great. What do you got for Hulkster or Jimmy?
who was your toughest opponent?
My toughest opponent was Jimmy Hart's guy named Ming. How do you say it? Is that how you say it, Ming? He was the toughest. I mean, I hit him with everything but the kitchen sink, and he goes, hit me harder. And I just gave up. You know, I just went in the fetal position and hid. But yeah, Ming was the toughest guy, brother.
Thanks for that question, my friend. Who's next? Well, he looks like a tough guy. Be careful how you answer this.
Hi, my name is Coulter. So who was who did you verse the most in wrestling?
Could you repeat that question, buddy?
Who did you verse the most in wrestling?
Who did I verse the most, like wrestle the most?
Yeah.
It's probably, ooh, yeah, the Macho Man Randy Savage. I used to love to wrestle Randy. If I could wrestle him every day, he was the most intense person I've ever been in the ring and out of the ring with. So he would keep you on your game. Thank you, brother.
Who's next?
Hello there. My name's Gator Johnson. Thank you three for being here. Hulk, I got a question for you. In your time during the WCW, who was your, if you had to choose one, your favorite rivalry / opponent? Besides Vince Russo.
Yeah, that's good, brother. I like that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you just can't beat cancer. So, I mean, it's just kidding, just kidding. Just kidding. We all know you can beat cancer with a training, prayers, and vitamins.
Absolutely.
But I just never had a chance to get my hands on him. Anyway, it goes back to Randy Savage, you know, because he was in the NWO, out of the NWO, and he was so consistent that every time I'd get booked with Randy, you know, people would come see the match. I mean, the money match was Sting, because Eric was smart enough to keep Sting away from me for so long. But when Sting and I did the thing, that was the money match. But the consistent match all the time was Randy.
Thank you, Hulk.
Thank you, brother.
Who's next?
First off, it's an honor to meet you guys. My name is Brad, and my question is, you guys have done a lot of wrestling matches, but my question is, an alternate universe, let's say you guys were in either hell, a space station, or underwater, who would you wrestle against? A dragon, beast, or undersea creature?
I'm gonna take that one first. Is that all right?
Yeah.
I would definitely go with an undersea creature because being the sushi lover that I am, I could not only slay that monster, I could eat it when I'm done.
Hey, bro, and I'll take the dragon because that dragon blows fire, and I'm used to taking all the heat for all the crap that everybody says I did or didn't do. So it comes with the territory. You know, I told my kids and my wife, I said, they're always nipping at your heels when you're red hot, so I'll take the heat from the dragon.
I would take the Beast because the Beast would be Brock Lesnar, and I'm a good friend of Paul Heyman, so I think he could talk Brock and not killing Jimmy Hart. That's who I'd take.
Thank you.
Good question. All right, our first NWO shirt of the day. I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For life, brother.
How's it going, guys?
Good, brother.
My question is, in the early 90s, there was a lot of gimmick wrestlers in the WWF, and one of my personal favorite matches was a match you had with The Undertaker in Detroit at Survivor Series. And my question is, when you wrestled him, did you ever think that he would be able to go on to become the legend he has become, or did you think he would just be another flash in the pan like a lot of other people were?
Well, I just thought that I got to go back farther than that, brother, because I was doing a movie called Suburban Commando, and I was this space alien, and we had all these actors come in to be the bounty hunters that were chasing me. We had a guy named Tony Longo. but we needed another one, and none of the actors were big enough. So I told the producers at New Line Cinema, I said, there's a guy named Mean Mark Calloway who walks the top rope. He's a red-haired kid, and he'll be perfect for the bounty hunter. He came, we did the movie together. I talked him into buying his first Harley Davidson. We got along great. So I took him to New York with me to meet Vince, because he was a great wrestler. And Vince looked at him and, you know what? I'm going to call you the Undertaker. Body bags and dead people. I go, Vince, that stupid ass gimmick will never work. I said, this is all about training, prayers, and vitamins. Nobody wants to see body bags and dead people. And man, was I wrong on that one. You know? But yeah, Vince, I remember Vince scratching his chin and looking around going, I'm going to call you the Undertaker. But I just didn't get it. But, you know, that match I had in Detroit was amazing, you know, because once again, he's great in the ring. He takes good care of you. And, you know, he had a tremendous career. And he's a really good guy. That's the main thing, is if you get to know him, he doesn't take any crap, believe me. You know, in the dressing room, anybody acts up, he puts them in their place, but he's a really good guy.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
How's it going? Jimmy, love the Gentrys. Keep on dancing.
All right, thank you. Thanks for remembering that.
Eric and Hulk, my question is, and now looking back 20 plus years, would you rebook the finger poke of doom, so-called, and maybe WCW would have ended up sticking around longer if that had been a different finish?
No. No to both questions. First of all, would I rebook that? Yeah, I probably would. But
not the finish.
But not the finish, no. But and I'm not being a smartass here, but people that think that the demise or the end of WCW came about as something relative to that finish, it's a bad narrative, brother. WCW went away for a lot of reasons that had nothing to do with anything that took place in the ring. WCW went away because of AOL Time Warner and because of the fact that Time Warner did not want wrestling on the books, regardless of how successful it was, how unsuccessful it was, or whatever finishes took place in the ring. So while the finger poke of doom is now become legend, and I answer this question on occasion, it really had nothing to do with the end of WCW.
Thank you very much.
By the way, I wouldn't book it again either. It really sucked. It was embarrassing. Yeah, but it was just as bad as when Jarrett laid down. I mean, you know, come on, you know. I mean, I'm a wrestling fan, number one. I'm the biggest mark there is, so I want to see a good match.
And I think Shawn Michaels did it once or twice in WWE, if I'm not mistaken.
He probably did it better than us.
Who's next? Who's this big guy?
So I'm a big fan of you, Hulk Hogan. So would you rather be still with the NWO or still be fighting with yourself?
Well, I think the NWO had a lot more mileage in it, you know, and I think I'd rather be back with the NWO because nobody said I could be a bad guy, but I thought I was the best bad guy that ever went in the ring.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Hey guys, well, based off what you said earlier, you got me thinking, and I want to ask Jimmy a question as a music major. If you had a chance to rewrite any of the current stars' music, who would it be?
Well, first of all, I'm not a great music major. I was lucky back in the early days of the WWF to be able, along with Jimmy Johnson, he wrote some great stuff, you know, to do some of the theme songs like Sexy Boy by Shawn Michaels, The Road Warriors, and of course, a few other ones, the Honky Tonk Man's Greatest Hits. And last but not least, The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, but I got to do that one, yeah. But, and then of course, Eric gave me the opportunity when I went over to WCW, of course, to do some of the themes over there. One of my favorites was the National Hall Wolfpack song. We got to do that. But some of the themes that I hear now, like I have a little beach bar, shameless plug here, in Daytona Beach called Jimmy Hart's Hall of Fame Bar and Tiki Deck. So each Monday night we watch Raw, And on Tuesday, we watch SmackDown. We have the pay-per-views there, too. But I really like all the theme songs that they do, you know. So I think it'd be hard for me to put myself in a spot to say, hey, look, let me go in and rearrange this particular one. You know, I just heard the news that Jimmy Johnson is not with the company anymore after, 30-something years, I believe. So I don't know who's doing their theme music now, but I'm sure they'll do a great job. Thank you for asking that.
Could you lay down some rap?
Can we do it another day, please?
Didn't you do Rap is Crap?
Yep, I did do Rap is Crap by the West Texas Rednecks.
I hate rap.
I love you. Thank you.
Master P wanted to shoot him for it, too.
You bought that single. Hey, thank you so much. Thank you. Great.
Oh, hey Hogan,
Hey,
Bischoff.
brother.
Name's Mike, and first of all, NWO for life.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And well, with the 25th anniversary of Raw coming up, has Vince reached out to you to return to the WWE ever since the incident happened on the internet and everything?
What incident?
Right, exactly.
You know, we've talked on the phone. Most of it is kind of like at Christmas time or birthdays or New Year's, stuff like that. There have been a few business calls in between, but any dialogue I have as of late with coming back to the WWE is always through Triple H. Vince is like on a different deal now. Before it used to be just me and him all the time talking, but as the years have gone by, I guess he's busy doing other stuff, or he's delegated authority to Triple H and stuff. So, I mean, I've talked to Triple H on an ongoing basis about moving forward, and you know, Triple H's exact verbiage is he feels like I should be back on the inside instead of the outside, you know. So Vince has not called me about the 25th anniversary of Raw, but let me tell you something, I would love to be there.
I'm sure we'd all love to see you there.
I would love, believe me, I would love to walk out in Brooklyn, because that's where it's at, right? In Brooklyn?
Yeah, I think it was the what was it?
Yeah.
Barclays Center.
I know what that crowd's like. I would love to walk out in front of that crowd one time on the 25th anniversary, but since I won't be there, I'll definitely be watching.
Yeah, great. One more thing. You mentioned Shawn Michaels before. That match you had with him in 2005 seemed like Shawn was overselling a lot, even for him. I mean, was there some sort of reason for that? I mean, from what I've heard, it was because you were supposed to have more than one match, and eventually you only had one. So did he decide to just make a fool out of for himself out of the match to embarrass you or something?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. Actually, when I was in the ring, I was digging watching him flop around like a tuna fish. You know, that means I just had to stand there and I didn't get hurt. You know, so I mean, everybody said he oversold. I had to re-look back at the match. I mean, he did do the Mr. Perfect when he took the turnbuckle. He put his feet on the bottom rope and bounced and did the whirly swirl and took the boot and fell down and spun around. And for Shawn, it was overselling, but there were supposed to be more matches, but that wasn't the reason why it didn't happen. It was some other stuff between me and Vince.
See, thanks, guys.
Yes, sir, bro.
Thank you, man.
Okay, so this is a question for all of you. Even though Hulk,
I'm with you.
I have to. Okay, besides this is for all of you. If you would go for one more title, what would it be?
Me?
Everybody.
I'd like to take that SmackDown and Raw title and unify them. And I'd love to have one more run, even in that one more match or one more month or one more year. I'd like to have that one last run just to show these guys how it's supposed to be done.
Okay.
I personally would like to challenge for the title of King of Catering, because I know I can do that. I won't get hurt back there. And they have good catering in WWE, so I'd go for King of Catering.
Well, for me, since I don't wrestle and can't wrestle, and probably everybody in the territory can beat me up, I'd probably go for the ladies' title. Maybe I might slide over one of the ladies. Maybe.
And if not, you'd have a hell of a lot of fun trying. Oops, sorry, that was politically incorrect.
Thank you.
Me too, me too!
Thank you, guys.
I think Nia Jax would kill you.
Probably. I don't know. I could still run pretty good.
Hey, scary man. Hey. Just kidding.
All right, real question to all of you.
Stinking talk.
Sounds so serious, too. You give a man a bat, he gets real serious real quick.
Are any of you, after being retired in the company, are any of you like born again Christians?
On my right arm, I still have a thing, What Would Jesus Do? This is the armband that I had sewed on. I wash it every night, by the way, but for about 5 years, ever since I went on the USO tour over there, and we got hit in Kandahar, which is really a rough place to go, Kandahar. Have you been? Well, you know how rough it is. We got hit by incoming over there. I think I was over there with me, Knobs and Sacks of the Nasty Boys, and of all people, Nikolai Volkov, and all three of us were scrunched up in one of the big bunkers over there, scared to death. But after that, buddy, I put this bracelet on, and it's kept me safe ever since.
But you tell all the girls it's what would Jimmy do?
Oh, now you said that. I didn't. No.
I'm just teasing.
Hold it.
On,
No. Oh, my God.
Yeah, nobody can take it.
And I got to fly back on the plane with him tomorrow. Oh, my gosh.
All right, one more and a comment. A real question. Is relationship really tough in life?
I'm not sure we understand the question.
Is relationship very tough in life?
Is relationship, you mean our relationships in general?
No, well, yes.
I find it hard to have a great relationship with everybody because sometimes you just don't get to know them at the level that you'd like to have a good relationship. But generally speaking, I find that you get out of relationship what you put into it. And I guess it always depends.
I don't know. I just kind of like hanging out with people that make me feel good, and the people that don't make me feel good, I don't hang out with them. So it's kind of pretty easy. It's that energy thing with me, man,
Well, speaking of just different relationships, I've been very, very lucky, being able to work in Memphis, Tennessee. My first wrestling thing was with Jerry Lawler and Jerry Jarrett, my first promoter, and he was, and Lawler's the one that really got me in the business, so I've been grateful for that. Meeting Hulk in Memphis because he's always done so wonderful things for me in and out of the wrestling business. By taking me to WCW and Eric Bischoff giving me a chance to work for him, I learned a lot from that too. And so I've just been very grateful on everything that I've really done, and people that have really helped me. And I still call different people from time to time just to thank them instead of letting something happen to them and then me call them and go, oh, I'm so sorry this happened to you, But thank you for asking the question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sting.
And Hulk, one more match, WCW title.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, Hulk.
I like that shirt, brother. Is that the Preston Andre the Giant shirt?
Yes.
Oh, I love that shirt.
You might know me from Facebook. You wish me a happy birthday in October?
Yep, I know you, brother.
What's up?
Good deal.
Do you think WWE will reveal your bronze statue this WrestleMania weekend?
Man, I didn't even think of that. I don't know. I think things will probably come full circle once we all get on the same page and I can get back, to where everybody needs me to be. I think all that stuff, it'll take care of itself. The statue, the merchandise, the Monday Night Raw, the wrestling.
Yes.
I think it's all going to happen together, but things are moving in that direction for sure.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Jimmy Hart, will you accept Mean Gene's challenge to a match? I watched Legends House and you've given him a hard time.
Oh man, that's a good question. I think I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was, by Toby Keith, that song. But I don't know, Mean Gene, I saw him tag up in Minnesota one time with a Hulkster, and Mean Gene looked pretty good. So
and you get a couple of martinis in Gene and he can go.
Yeah, that might be my win right there. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you a lot.
Thank
My
you.
dreams come true. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, buddy.
Hi guys, how you
Why
doing?
am I hearing about Spider-Man over there? All right.
Hey, I was at WrestleMania 3, Hulk.
Oh, cool,
that was
man.
awesome.
Awesome,
man.
brother.
Yeah, it was one of the best experiences of my childhood. Thank you guys for that.
Thank you, sir.
And you know what? And the thing that you guys did with WCW and the NWO, that got me back into watching wrestling. That was a fun time. And I'm Wolfpack though. I'm all
That's good.
Wolfpack.
That's cool.
So my question to you, Hulk, is when you turned heel, was that hard for you, or whose idea come up with? Was it yours, Bischoff? Who came up with the idea, and was it hard for you?
I think Eric approached me with it at the time.
Well, we've only got about 10 minutes left, so I'm going to make this fast. But about 6 months before he actually did the deed, I had my own plane at the time. I flew down to Tampa to meet with Hulk because I had an idea for him turning heel. And Hulk sat there. He invited me into his house. He was kind and gracious as he always was. And we had a couple beers. And his kids were at school at the time. And we're in your office, in your den, and I had myself all psyched up to lay this thing out to him, and I wanted to get it right because it's Hulk Hogan, right? So I had thought about it for a couple days before I went down, and I'm talking to Hulk, and he's sitting in his chair and he's doing this, stroking that Fu Manchu, and I thought, well, he's either really digging it or he's thinking of a way to throw me out of his house. So I got done with my pitch, and he said something like, "Brother, until you walk a mile in my red and yellow boots, you'll never really understand." And he looked at his watch. He said, "Oh, man, I'm sorry. I got to pick up the kids. Thanks for coming by." And the next thing I knew, I was in my plane heading back to Atlanta. But a couple months later is when I got the call. You were doing the movie Senate with Muscles. Yeah. And that's when, we sat down and kind of came eye to eye and changed the world.
The funny thing was when I first went to work in New York, when it was the WWF for Vince Sr., I came in as a heel, and I had the match with Andre at Shea Stadium. Went to Minnesota, discovered the Hulkamaniac thing, came back, and I think after WrestleMania 6, when I wrestled the Warrior, and the Warrior beat me for the title, I was hell-bent on turning heel then. And I told Vince, I got a great idea. I'm going to call myself Triple H, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. And Vince says, "Oh, no, you can't do that. You can't be a heel. You've been a good guy for so long." So I was pushing hard back then. And then, when that didn't happen, I hung out for a few more years, and I kind of let the idea go out of my head. But then when Eric brought it up, it took me a while to warm up to it. But then when I saw Nash and Hall come in, and I kind of saw the train leaving the station, that money train leaving the station, I rethought it, and I said, "Yeah, bro, that's a great idea."
No, but realistically, though, when I came to you, that was before the NWO started to form in my mind. And, the conditions have to be right. The situation has to be right. You can't just turn heel for the sake of turning heel and expect it to be successful. And just by, more coincidence and timing than anything else, I think the situation changed and the opportunity made more sense.
Cool, man.
Short, I know. Hi. So growing up watching WCW was the way that I bonded with my dad, and I really appreciate having that opportunity and having all those memories, so thank you very much. Now whenever I miss my dad, I can watch old WCW wrestling matches. So my question is, was there anything that you have with your families that you bond over like that? By the way, Eric Bischoff, you were my first crush.
Whoa! Yeah, but that's when he had the black hair and he was real skinny.
I had the bad Elvis hair. I was about 40 pounds lighter, but thank you for that.
I was like 9 years old, so.
Well, a lot of people don't realize Eric used to be a model back in the day.
I believe it.
But then we got in the ring, we beat him up a little bit and changed his look.
Changed my liver, too.
Yeah. No, I bonded with my son Nick over the wrestling. So once he figured out who his dad was, he became possessed with the wrestling, and then that kind of got my daughter Brooke to go, "Well, I want to be cool too." So the wrestling did help with my kids, because for a while when they were small, I was gone all the time, and they didn't care about it. But once they kind of figured it out, it helped my relationship with my kids too. So I totally understand.
How about you other guys?
With me and my son, it was really hunting and fishing. We both like to do things outdoors. For my daughter, I took her to Paris when she was in high school, her junior year, for kind of a father-daughter day trip. She's always loved to travel, so for my daughter, we really bonded the most whenever we got to travel together, whether it was with wrestling or occasionally I would take her on a trip away from wrestling. But, I took her to Japan. on a couple times when we were in business in Japan, and took her with me often on the road in wrestling. So we got very, very close then. So
Well, if you need another daughter, I'm up for adoption.
okay, you got a deal.
Jimmy?
Well, when I was on that USO tour, I got to see my son, Jimmy Hart Jr., over there a few years back. And he was on the 101st Airborne over there. And he said, you know, Dad, I never really cared for the wrestling very much. And I said, why, Jimmy? And he said, because in Memphis back in the day when I was going up against Jerry Lawler, everybody hated me. They loved the King, right? He said, I took so much abuse in school. He said, they would just call me all kind of names every time that Lawler would beat you up on TV. And he said, that's how I lost my front tooth back in the day. They pushed me down the slide and knocked my teeth out. So that was true. So I've always remembered Jimmy telling me that. When your son tells you, I wish you had named me Jimmy Hart Jr. because of the abuse he took that I went through in the early days of wrestling. So that's what really happened on my deal.
That's a little bit sadder, but thank you anyway.
All right, thank you.
You guys so much.
Hi, Mr. Hart, Mr. Bischoff, Hulkster. Thank you so much for being here. I'm kind of shaking right now because
You look great, though, brother. Thanks for representing.
lifelong Hulkamaniac.
Thank you,
Been saying
brother.
my prayers, eating my vitamins since I was 10 years old. I'm limited to one question, so I'm going to have to steal a page from your book, Hulkster. I just got one question for you. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when me and all the rest of these Hulkamaniacs go wild for you?
Thank you, brother. Hey, the funny part is, I've been asking that question, what you gonna do, for over 35 years. Nobody's answered me yet, but thank you, man. That was really cool.
Great.
Way cool.
Hi, my name is Vasha. Do you have any advice for a 13-year-old who wants to be a wrestler?
Wow. You're too pretty to be a wrestler. A 13-year-old that wants to be a wrestler. I mean, I can see how you can watch the Divas show and get hooked if you're a good-looking lady, or how you can watch the Divas, or what are they called? Women wrestlers? What are they, Divas now or women wrestlers?
Yeah.
Superstars, whatever. I can understand, but I mean, if you really, well, of course you got to go to school first. You're only 13. You know, but once you get older, the main thing is, if you really like it, first thing you need to do is get in the ring and see if you still like it. Because it's one thing to watch it, but once you get in the ring, then you'll know if you like it, because it's pretty tough on your body. But when you get a little bit older, maybe you could find somebody that could get you in the ring and, like, very, very safely hit the ropes and take a couple bumps and see how it feels. Cause
What about a sport like gymnastics? Like, if she's in school now, would you suggest a sport like gymnastics, maybe, just to learn how to control her body and get in shape?
Well, if she's going to wrestle, she needs a good foundation and a base and balance and timing. So anything, any sport, tennis, golf, you know, whatever they play in school now for the girls. Hopefully you won't play football or anything like that. But, I mean, any of those good sports in school will help you get up to speed so you can make that transition with your timing and balance and everything. But, yeah, get in that ring first with somebody that knows what they're doing and just see if you like it. Because my daughter, Brooke, Dad, I want to wrestle. I know I can do it. I can be the female Hulk Hogan. She went in the ring, and after a whole day, she said, I don't want any more of this, you know. The next morning when she tried to pull her head out of bed, she had to grab her hair to lift her head up, you know, because it's kind of rough if, you know, so you just have to see if you like it in the ring.
Thank you.
And the WWE's got a great facility in Orlando, Florida, too, by the way.
Is that Mom? Mom, what do you think about her wanting to be a wrestler? There you go.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm from the older crowd.
So are we.
I grew up in Chicago, going to the International Amphitheater, watching all your Vern Gagne, Bobo Brazil, Bruiser, Crusher. Hulk, what brought you into wrestling? Were you brought up also? And I bonded close with my dad. He took my sister and I to the wrestling.
By the way, my first match in Chicago was at the amphitheater. So Bobo Brazil was on the card that night too. What got me into wrestling was I grew up in Tampa, and back in the day when I was a kid, there were 3 really big wrestling hotspots. One of them was Tampa, Florida. The other was New York, and the other one was Minneapolis. And those, now that I understand how the business was, at the time I didn't know, I thought, Florida Championship Wrestling was the only thing around. I had no idea what else was out there. Promoters like Vince McMahon Sr. and Vern Gagne would send their top wrestlers down to Florida, like Ivan Koloff and superstar Billy Graham. So living in Florida as a kid, I get to see all the really good main event wrestlers come through Florida, and I was just hooked. I was like the biggest wrestling fan ever. And I mean, we used to turn on TV on the weekends just to see Dusty Rhodes talk. And if he didn't talk on TV or do an interview, me and all the rest of the kids, we were mad all week long because we want to hear the American Dream, baby. But I grew up as a fan, and I think because I love the business so much, you know, I still look at the business the same way now. I mean, when I'm home, I record everything. I'm the biggest market in the world. But did Sami Zayn really hurt his leg? I mean, you know, I'm like, you know, so I'm still hooked the same way I was when I was a kid. But that's what got me in the business, was being such a fan and such a wrestling mark. I just love the business, and I still do.
Thank you.
I think we're out of time, but I want to say one thing before you go, young lady. Yesterday I was on my Twitter page, right? My Twitter machine, as Bubba Ray Dudley calls it. And somebody asked me, what's of all the time you spend in professional wrestling, what's the one thing that you reflect back on the most, that you enjoy the most? And my response, and you can go to my Twitter page and see it if you don't believe me. My response was, every time I go to an event like this, I meet someone like you who tells me how wrestling is the one thing that, you know, brought their family together, or that helped them develop a relationship or bond with a mother or father, brothers, sisters, whatever, grandparents, and that it means something to them, and it has always meant something to them throughout their life. And that's the one thing that I think, when I think back of all the great opportunities I've had, is to be able to just bond with people that I've never met before and have that one thing in common that was such a big part of our lives. So thank you all very much for that.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And on that same note, the craziest thing that always happens to me, if I go to a restaurant or go anywhere, people always ask me for autographs. People always want pictures. And a lot of people that are in the restaurant and stuff, they go, Hulk, after all these years, don't you get tired of this? And I look at them, I go, are you kidding? I just thank God it's still happening. You know, after all these years that you guys have been so loyal through the good times, through the bad times, you guys have been so loyal. You guys know who I am, and the fact that you guys have stuck with me, it means the world, and I love you guys for that, and that's so darn cool. Yeah. Hey, and thanks for letting me tease Jimmy Hart and make jokes with Jimmy, because sometimes he gets mad at me.
No, I don't. Hey, listen, thank you guys also, because you know what I love about it is the questions you ask and the outfits that you wear, because you wear your favorite wrestlers' outfits, and we love that. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to take some shots of you here with the audience. Audience, don't leave.
Oh, don't anybody leave. You're all under arrest.